Hello, hello, and welcome. I am so excited to be here with you today. And I am very grateful that this platform gives an opportunity for you and me to connect and to have amazing conversations. My name is Jana Masik. I'm the host of broadcast Powering Unique You. And today, I'm happy to share an amazing lady with you. She is my special guest. This woman has many years of experience in branding, in the corporate world, and also in the personal world. And she is so unique because she's so sharp and she has so much wisdom. Today, she's going to give you amazing tips, and I cannot wait to hear her wisdom. She is a corporate social media trainer, and she's also a personal branding coach. She specializes on LinkedIn to help corporate professionals to build their professional brand at work for work. I want to welcome an amazing lady, Cher Jones. Hello, Cher.
Hello, Jana. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be on your show.
Well, I'm double excited, and today's conversation is so I say important in these days is it's all about how can professionals gain visibility and gain engagement on LinkedIn. And we're talking about a lot of the corporate professionals,
Mhm.
and I would love to dive and have some tips and strategies from you. But before we start, let's just check in to make sure we go live. And I think we are. And as people are checking in, please say where you're from, say hi, give us some love, give us some thumbs ups. We have Sandra Cleary checking in, saying, looking forward to this conversation. Sandra, we're so happy to have you. And please, if you have any questions, please drop them in the comments. We'll be happy to respond to those. So we're good. We're live. Share.
Awesome.
Please, maybe start with why. Why even corporate professionals need to think about building their brand on LinkedIn particularly.
Absolutely. First, I want to say hi to Sandra because I know that she was excited about this and she let me know, she let you know, and now she's here. So that talk about commitment right there. And so one of the things that I think corporate professionals have to realize is they also have the power of influence. And with their personal brands, not only can they influence sales for the company, they can also influence the talent that companies attract, as well as retaining the talent that is already there, because this is like a great place to work. They can also showcase corporate culture and industry thought leadership. And this is an incredible power that as a professional, you should be taking advantage of. But the first thing that you need to do is work on your own credibility. So how do you show up online? Because your professional presence, and I truly believe that LinkedIn is the professional home for your personal brand, your profile should tell people what it is you do now and how you help people now, not what you did to get the job, because no one cares, because they're looking you up because they want to know how you can help them, right? And that is in the corporate space. Right. And so if you've done is, you look as good as the last job you applied for, right? But you've updated your title. That doesn't inform me and how you can help me. It doesn't give me the language to then talk about you and bring you into a room and give you a seat at the table when you're not even in the room physically.
Yes, wow. I love that you've started with this presence. I love that you started with being thoughtful in how do you represent yourself
Yes.
as a professional on LinkedIn. And it starts with the profile, right? And I feel a lot of people in corporate jobs, they're sitting dormant until they lose a job, and then they all of a sudden start updating their profile.
Exactly.
So, and that's what you're saying is so important, to keep your profile not only up to date, yet more importantly, engaging, telling the story, telling us your personality, telling us about who you are. That when I'm looking at your profile, I'm like, this is an interesting person. I might want to add this person to my network
Mhm.
and share what from your observation. I know you're training specifically professionals to be more visible and get more engagement on LinkedIn at work for work. What are some of the things that you've noticed, common mistakes maybe on the profiles that people can fix or people can think
Yeah.
about improving?
So whether it's a mistake or just a preference. So for me, I love when people use the about section. So a big mistake is not using the about section.
Mm,
This is gold. This is truly the opportunity for you to articulate on a level how people are true, like how people should be talking about you, because this is how you
mm,
tell them what you do and go into detail on what people get when they work with you, because that's what those people are looking for is, well, if I work with this person, what do I get at this person? And another mistake is thinking that LinkedIn is just for job hunting. But what people
yeah.
need to be ready is they need to be opportunity ready, because that could be a project they could be involved in. That could
Yes.
be, hey, you know what? We want this person to speak for us at an event this event has reached out and say we need a subject matter expert to talk about this issue.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're going to look at who's visible, who's
Yes.
in that engagement, who can we send that will represent our company well. So it's about marrying those brands. So the first thing, back down to your original question, it really comes down to leveraging. So the bad thing is to not leverage the about section. And the subjective thing, whether it's right or wrong, is I like when people don't just put a third person bio in there, like
Mm-hmm.
a social media trainer with 20 years of experience in PR, blah, blah, blah. No one cares. But I do like it when it's in first person. So
Yes.
it's like, I can help you
Yeah.
do this so that you can achieve these goals. And that's
Mm-hmm.
something that changes it, because now all of a sudden I'm not reading about somebody. I feel like I'm having a conversation with somebody.
Wow, wow, this is powerful. And share what I love that you mentioned is when you come and approach your LinkedIn presence, don't just think it is just to find a job. It
Mhm.
is find opportunity. And like you mentioned, there's so many opportunities once you position yourself powerfully. And I would love for you to expand on how to position yourself powerfully and how to show that you're credible, maybe some
Yeah.
tips on that.
Mhm.
Then the opportunity come about, and then you get to meet people, you get to work on some additional projects, you get to increase your visibility, right? So let's start on credibility. How do you build that? How do you create that credibility?
For sure. So one thing you want to do is you want to show up like you show up. So you want to look relatively like your profile picture. I know I change my hair up all the time, so that's always going to be my challenge. But you also want to make sure you have a headline that has your current title in it,
Mm-hmm.
as well as a benefit, or people may call it a branding statement. It's a mini bio that right off the top, it adds value to the title, because titles don't mean anything because they are subjective to the company. Some companies, it's like, it's awesome to have a VP title, whereas other
Mm-hmm.
financial institutions, there's like a million VPs in the same institution, and it doesn't mean as much until you describe it. So, and then everybody's impression of what of what a title is changes. So you need to tell people, right? So that's really important. Um, Another thing is I like to give people a framework on how
Mm-hmm.
to write their about section. So if you spend the time writing your headline, which is that short little one-liner, people already know what you do. So you don't have to repeat it in the first line. So right away, if I've told you at the top what I am, I don't need to say, hi, my name is Cher Jones, and I'm a social media trainer and corporate. You don't need to say that. So what I have people do is, this is the framework, and if you guys go check out my YouTube channel, I give this framework. There's a whole a playlist on branding yourself as a professional, so you can check it out if you want to replay this. But basically, I have people talk about the problem that
Mm-hmm.
they solve first.
Mm-hmm.
So, for
Mm-hmm.
example, for me, it's like these days in this climate, people look you up before they decide to do business with you,
Yes.
right? What does your profile say about you? So that's a very abbreviated version of my problem statement. And then I introduce myself. So, problem statement. And then I
Mm-hmm.
say, as a corporate social media trainer and personal branding expert, so now I've
Mhm.
introduced my title, but
Yeah.
now I'm going to go back to my audience and say, I help identify who I help corporate
Mhm.
professionals, leaders, and entrepreneurs serving corporate develop, do what? Develop powerful personal brands, right? So we have the problem
Yes.
statement
Mhm.
as your title. I help who do
Mhm.
it. And then it's so that they can accomplish. And what is it they accomplish? So if
Mhm.
you follow this framework, all you're doing is you're creating a service centric profile that explains what you do and how you serve. And then once they've got to that point, then that gives you the permission to then talk about why you're the one to help.
Mhm. Mm.
So it puts it basically, because most people, they'll talk about, first they'll reiterate their title, and then they'll say, I went to school here, I've worked in this industry for 40 years, but no one cares yet. So we're just flipping it around to talk about
Mm.
your audience and how you serve.
Mhm.
And then you're going to back it up by, I've worked in the industry for over 20 years in broadcasting, PR, and whatever, in my case, right? And then I've done this and I've worked with these clients and I know I can help you too. So
Yes.
ultimately, you have this framework that helps you flow together your experience
Mm.
and at the same time put your audience first, because that's what they cared about in the first place. That's why they're looking you up. So that would be the strategy that I would give people as a framework to write their social bios for LinkedIn.
Mm. This is really good. This is really good. It starts with who you serve. Then it starts with what problem you solve, and then how you solve it, and then showing why are you credible to solve that problem. And
Mhm.
maybe if we look at people who are in the corporate role, and they're not perhaps, for salespeople, I think a little bit be a little bit easier. But if it's not salesperson, or if it's not sales position,
Mhm.
maybe it's a role of financial, or maybe it's an HR role.
Right.
How would you present that? Because they're not necessarily serving someone outside of their company,
Yes.
serving someone inside the company. Give us maybe
Yes.
an example for that
I
situation.
love that, because that is a large majority of the people I work with is they serve a team.
Yes.
So as a system analyst, what I do is I make sure I work with my team of developers so that we can ensure that the system we're pulling in, and I'm just making this up because it depends on the system analyst or whatever, or a quality assurance, a quality professional. I make sure that our testing does this so that our systems run smoothly and our operations, this and this happen. So it's just, again, thinking about the value that your
Hmm.
role brings to what it is you do. So it's really breaking that down. So as a quality, as a QA expert at on this team, it's my responsibility to ensure that we are testing the user acceptance testing, blah, blah, blah. I'm literally bringing jargon, but to do this so that our systems are running at the best for our customers or whatever the outcome is. So it's the same thing.
Yes.
What we now do is they know what you do on the job. And they know
Yes.
whether they need to connect you to somebody or they know your value and the value that you bring to the company. It's really the same process. And I think
Hmm.
that most people right now, what they do have to do is start communicating the value that they bring to the company. In their sales, it's about value you bring to your client. In
Yes.
in corporate professionals, is what are you doing? So if you're a management, if you're in leadership, it's like I work with my team to develop their ability to do this. I make sure and you do whatever it is you do, whatever you're responsible for.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So it's looking again at the audience that you serve. It
Mhm.
may be internal audience within your company, the problem that you solve for that problem. How do you solve that problem? And then your credibility. And then when I go and look at your profile, I'm like, interesting. That's an opportunity. Maybe I want to learn how you solve that problem within your company so I can collaborate with you and bring some solutions to my company. So that's how you showcase yourself. And lastly, I'd like to ask you on that particular segment, for people that lost their jobs.
Mhm.
I think they're self-evaluation is a little bit down.
Mhm.
They feel that they don't have as much value to offer. Sometimes it's especially when you've been let go,
Yeah.
it's really, it affects your mentality, affects how you see
Mhm.
yourself, how you see next opportunities. What do you recommend to those type of people? Because it's millions out there right now.
Oh, absolutely. And it is one of the most challenging times when it comes to this space. And there is, quite frankly, no magic bullet. However, you need to think about two things. The first thing is what lights you up on the job.
Mm,
What is it you absolutely loved in the roles that you've done? It may be a combination of different roles, but what are the things that you love to do? And where did you bring the most value? Now,
mm,
how can you, if you are a content creator, how can you translate that? Your knowledge into content, because what you're dealing right now is it's because it's such a flooded market. You have to showcase your ability and your credibility.
mm-hmm.
So if you are able to create content, and I recognize that that's not for everyone, and let's be fair about that,
Yeah.
but what you can, so if you are, and I'll give you another strategy if you're not, but if you are able to create content, is what kind of content can you create? Best practices on
Mm-hmm.
this methodology, best practices in leadership, best practice in mindset, whatever it is that lights you up. It could be very specific to best QA practices in this industry or whatever, but you have to start to think of, or three things that made our team win this project, and like break that down so that anybody can look at that and say, okay, wow, this person won a project. Two, they have the methodology in place.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you're not a content creator, and by the way, those ideas can be created into a document. It can
Mm-hmm.
be created into an article. It can create it into a mini post. It can be created into a video. Or if you know somebody that you're following maybe has a show and you believe that you can deliver value to their audience, jump on their show, right?
Yes.
And that's a great crossover strategy as well, especially if you don't create content, but you have someone like you, Jana, who has a show, who has an audience. That person can then say, hey, Jana, I know your audience, and it looks like you do shows about this. Here's how I can add value, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pitch yourself. And then you can come on somebody else's show. You don't even have to create the content. You just bring the wisdom. And then what you can do is take the recording of the show and then maybe remix it. So take small segments of that and share it out with your network so people can see what it is you know. And if you're still kind of scared to pull a trigger, start commenting on content where you can show your expertise, because what people don't realize is that comments are micro content.
Yes.
You're
Love
still
it.
showcasing your thought leadership and expertise.
Comments are micro content.
Yeah.
This is amazing. This is so true because I've built some connections through the comments. I will go on a post that I like and I would make a comment and then I will read through comments and I like one of those and I'm like, let me look up this person. It's very interesting. And then I reach out and connect.
Right.
So it is true. It is a context. So comments are micro content. And then you segue into, you know, for job seekers and even not job seekers, so creating the content strategy. It can be your content strategy, some
Mhm.
posts, some thought leadership, something that you have experienced of your own wisdom, some wins you have done in the past.
Right.
Because I'm sure each one of us have some wins to share, lessons. Maybe you were able to overcome something difficult. And by the way, if you like the show and if it gives you value, please like, comment, share
Yeah.
it with your audience, and I'm really grateful, Cher, that you are coming to share and giving us your advice today. This is very valuable. We do have some comments I want to read. Sandra is saying, for certain companies, media streams on LinkedIn have influenced what I think about prospectively working for that firm or doing business with them. And I've noticed, maybe you share a little bit about that as well. I've noticed that some companies embrace and they integrate personal and professional branding, and some
Mm.
companies they very cold, so to
Yes.
speak. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's happening right now is companies more and more are starting to get ready to recognize that they can't have one spokesperson. Gone are the days, because the minute that something happens, the minute that that person leaves, that person gets sick, something happens, there goes your whole strategy. And when you have this army of incredible talent, because companies now are working so hard to attract the right talent, to hire the right leaders, that they want to make sure that if they hired an awesome leader, they want to, by putting this person out and co-creating content with them, what happens, it goes back down to what I was saying before, is content that you put out there can also attract new talent, because they might see that's a leader I want to work for. And they saw them show up. So bringing back to Sandra's point is like, she's seen content from companies, perhaps co-created with some of their staff, with some of their people, and saying, oh my gosh, that looks like an awesome person. Now they go dig in a little bit more. You know what? I want to get connected with that person. I would love to work with that person. I think this person would value me. Right. And I saw another comment, I think it was from JT Shim, and he said, best practices in leadership include clear vision, fact base, right policies, right personnel, and right procedures. Right. And so that's all kind of content right there. Right. That if depending on, what his bent is, whether he's, trying to work with other professionals or as a service-based provider, or whether he's showcasing himself as a leader, all of those can be pieces of content. He could jump on your show, Jana, and he could be talking about even just that clear vision, how to develop a clear vision. Just go right deep into that, and that showcases his awesome. And then even just commenting, just like Sandra has, commenting in on the show. What she's doing is she's raising her hand and saying, look at me, and in a good way. It's not a, hey, look at me. It's a, this is what I have to contribute. Obviously, you're going to notice me because it's pretty smart. So I'm putting it out there, and you have to put it out there.
Yeah, and Sandra's saying here, definitely, people are checking out for the phone interview I had last week. I had seen that four people that from checking out my LinkedIn profile. So it is important because people are looking, right? As we are looking, who do we want to work with? In the same way, when people are looking and giving us opportunity, when we're being interviewed, they're looking, what do we have in our profile, right? What are our activities? What are we putting out there? And the more we engage, the more we show up in a way, who we are, and not trying to pretend to being this perfect corporate persona, right?
Yeah.
The more we come up in our humanity with the skill set, with the value that we have, and with the experiences that we have to deliver, then I feel the right people would connect and the right people be interested.
Exactly. Because you don't want to put on a persona that will, when people are looking, because now I know the business of HR is that much more strategic as far as we're trying to find people that will fit the culture of our organization, right? Because we have a strategy in how we're hiring, and this is the type of environment that we're creating for our employees, and not everybody's a fit for every place. So if you put on this different persona and they're hiring, that's that person's a great fit. They're very straight-laced, they're proper, and this is exactly where we want them to be. And then you get there and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so not me. Or vice versa. You could have a company that they're more on that startup vibe, everybody's in t-shirts, and then you show up in a suit because you think that you have to show up that way on LinkedIn, and then you're missing out on opportunities because they're looking at you and your skill set and saying, I don't know if this person's going to be a fit. So it's like you have to show up your authentic self. Of course, I'm not saying be 100% transparent, because we know how to act when we're at work and when we're at home. So there is a difference, and there is a level of professionalism that you have to show up. But me, I am still me. You find me on Instagram, you find me on Facebook, you find me here, you find me on Twitter. I'm still going to be me, and I'm not for everyone, and that's okay.
I love this. I'm not for everyone, and that's okay, because we have this internal desire, and I've struggled with this. And this was one of the fears or one of the barriers for me to come to the platform like such as LinkedIn and start becoming, the voice to bring my perspective to the table, to share my thoughts, is because I thought, well, first of all, who am I? Then, well, people are not going to like me, or people's going to judge me. So you try to please everyone, and it's impossible. It's simply
Yeah.
impossible. So we have to embrace who we are, get
Mhm.
comfortable in our own skin, whatever color it is,
Mhm.
love ourselves,
Mhm.
and say, I have a value. I am
Yes.
uniquely valuable.
Mhm.
Know your value and showcase it unapologetically. And
Yes.
the right people will see it, and the right people say, yay, let's connect, let's do collaboration.
And that's the whole thing there is let your presence do the talking. Let like because you'll be surprised as the more you put out there, the more you position what it is you do and how you serve, the more you bring in your thought leadership and serve through whatever it is. You're an expert at something,
Mhm.
especially when you think from a business perspective, from a role-based perspective. There's something about you that makes you uniquely you because all of your experience rolls into who you are. You could be a yoga practitioner and a project manager, but your yoga practice allows you to approach chaos in a Zen like way. And now
Mhm.
all of a sudden, you have differentiated yourself from any other project manager because you're bringing in another side of you to describe your approach. And you can do that in your LinkedIn profile. You can even write an article, create a video on how yoga makes me Zen at work.
I love this.
It's like
This is
so random. These are things
I
just go
love
on.
it, but it's embracing all of the different layers of our personality. Sometimes we feel we only can showcase and we're allowed to showcase our professional skills, what we
Mm,
do at work. And in a way, yes, it's good, but at some point, it's not the full and whole you, right?
yes.
It's like you take a picture, you cut out like one fourth of it, and you're trying to impress somebody with it. They'll be like, "What's the rest? Where's the
Yes.
rest of a
Yes.
face?"
Yes.
So we have a question from Elena. She said, what are the ways to find out what people need now and other ways to find what's popular in search terms? I think Elena, she's an HR consultant. So she
Mhm.
consults small companies and helps the businesses to thrive in the HR segment.
Mhm.
And I think her question is related how to find, what people are looking for, how to find what's the best content to produce.
Right. So some of the things that you can do is from a content perspective. So there are two areas that I think are still powerful. The first one is Googling whatever it is, like HR challenges in 2020, right? Recruiting challenges in 2020.
Mhm.
Look up whatever, and a lot of them may be postponed, but they still may have the details up. So look for conferences in 2019 and 2020. Look for the different tracks that they had. So just look up all HR conferences, recruiting conferences, whatever it is you need as far as what's specific to the role. But it's like whatever your industry is, look at what virtual conferences are happening. What are the topics that they're addressing? Because they're also doing the research. They also have their ear to the ground to find out what's going on. And that just all I would do is I would literally do a day where I'm saying searching um, challenges, specific industry, maybe specific role, COVID, right? Just to see what comes up, right? Challenges. And then you can also, again, look up any sort of virtual events or conferences that were planned, even last year's conferences, just to see what the agenda was, to see what the tracks are. You'll have more than enough ideas, and literally just take those headlines. You don't even have to go in and read it. Just take the headlines that you feel that you could take a spin on by answering that question.
This is really good tactic. I didn't think about that one. This is really valuable, Share, because what the industry is doing, what those companies who produce those conferences are doing, they are taking sometimes surveys. Sometimes they're going out and they're looking what's the most pressing issues.
Yes.
So gathering that information and even gathering it and presenting in a compact way.
Yes.
So I, as a global HR, wouldn't have to go and spend my day to gather all that that information, but it may be valuable to get like a very short and concise details on what's happening
Yeah.
in the industry. This is good. So we
And then
talk.
you can go
Yeah.
out on you see these ideas, and I guarantee you'll get 5 ideas from one idea. And then
Yes.
you can break it down into micro issues and expand on that. Like there's so much rich content. You will not be out of content again.
I love this. We've talked in the beginning about credibility, about how you showcase yourself on LinkedIn,
Mhm.
show your best self, what problems you solve. Then we talked about more of a visibility and some content strategies. And if you do want to have some more content strategies, I highly recommend you to follow Cher on LinkedIn. Her show is on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just ask Cher. She produces amazing tips every week, and she also has a YouTube channel. So check it out, subscribe, and you'll have a lot of tips that really help you to get your strategies up and running and performing and being consistent. Now, Cher, how about engagement? So we talk
Yes.
credibility, visibility, engagement. Let's chat a little bit about engagement. How can we produce content? How can we show up that it engages people to start having conversations, to respond to our posts? Sometimes I post and they're crickets,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's discouraging. So, what are your tips on that?
Okay. So the first thing before we even start thinking about our own posts is we have to go out and engage in the network, because the algorithms is what determines who will see what. So the
Mm,
algorithm's looking to see who your friends are first and foremost, right? So
yes.
if you are engaging on other people's content, right, taking the time to like it, comment, whatever, share it, whatever is it, the content pulls out of you, you
Mhm.
spend the time. Even another slept on strategy is replying to somebody else's content, like comment on the
Mhm.
content. So if someone came up with a good response, rather that you can reply directly to them and say, I love this perspective because of this, and that. It's not okay to just say, great idea. Like it's better than nothing, but it doesn't showcase you're awesome, right?
Yes.
It just says I'm engaged. But it's
Yes.
cool. It's not bad, right? But wherever you can go deeper on value, it's just like it's so much more, because what happens is the algorithm saying, okay, you have relationships with all these people. They're
Mhm.
probably going to care the next time you post, right?
Mhm.
So that's important. The other thing is was really important, especially when you're posting. It's harder on live shows because you've got comments going back and forth and you're answering them. So you don't always go back and reply to all the comments. But when you post a document, a regular video, a post, an image, or whatever the case may be, a blog post, you need to spend the time replying to everybody. And where this becomes a challenge is if you're producing way too much content in a week, you won't have the opportunity to engage properly. I'd
Mm.
rather you pull back on production, dive into the engagement, and you will see the momentum of that go. And like, especially if you can build in your consistency so people know when to expect you. They come looking for your content, and then because they also come looking for the conversation and the community that you create. And then the other piece of that to encourage engagement, so encourage conversation, is literally ask for it. So
Yes.
just like you're saying, let us know. Do you give us the likes? Is this a good idea for you guys? Like, guys, let us know. Tap that like button. Tap that, even if you're just thinking about it. Let us know, because that also encourages us that we're going down the right path. This is feeding you, because we want to make sure that we bless you with our time and
Yes.
with our knowledge. But also, what people don't recognize is that over time, and it takes time to get the tidal wave of engagement, that momentum of engagement. But what you tend to do, and what I've noticed over time, is I was able to bring a community that is in the comments, that's able to get fed in the comments by other people. It wasn't just my responsibility anymore. It's like they're meeting and networking, and you create that environment for conversation. But to
Mm.
create that conversation in your comments, you have to ask people, what if you gave 6 tips, do you have a seventh? Ask people what it is, to make them easy ask, like yes or no. Have you been struggling with
Mhm.
engagement over the last since COVID started? Let me know, yes or no, in the comments below, right?
Yeah.
Things like that. And it's like you have to ask people, and then it encourages it, and then ultimately the algorithm recognizes it, and was like, the next time you post, the chances of them seeing it are significantly higher because
Mm.
they've engaged in previous content.
Cher, I love how you flip the coin. because even in my mind, and I feel in many of our listeners, the idea of engagement is how can I create something and have people engage with me, right?
Mhm.
It's all about me, 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 me.
Mhm.
You flipped that right there. You're like, Jana, make a pause. It's not about you. It's not about others engaging with you. It's about you being engaging and you providing value and
Mhm.
you commenting and you showing up for other people and you liking that thing that you just read and it resonates with you, and then not just saying yes, thank you, but adding value, adding a thought leadership into that,
Mhm.
and that will create more opportunity for your visibility to increase, and
Mhm.
that the people will appreciate that. Because if I see somebody making a thoughtful comment on my post, I will like, thank you very much, it's really, it feels good. So you actually, by contributing and commenting on others people's work and
Mhm.
some of the content that they're producing, you are recognizing them, you are cheering them on, you're adding value to them, you're adding value to the community that they're creating. I love this. I love the tips that you've given us, Sharon. We have a couple more comments here as well. We have Victoria checking in saying hi, Jana, and share great suggestions. We have JT team saying, I have read our college admissions have been rescheduled due to what was posted on social media, and the
Mhm.
job offers have been revoked based on what was on social media and not on social media. So meet the job requirement is important, but here's the matter. So you say a guy accepted an offer, found a flashy new card, and then got terminated. It was not illegal. It was not against any rules, but the company felt that he didn't properly represent the company's conservative values.
Mhm.
So it's just a thought. I think where he's coming from, it's just a thought on and I feel many corporate professionals having this thought, and how can I draw that line of where I may put my job in jeopardy
Mhm.
by showing up on platforms, and especially on LinkedIn, because I think other social platforms, although they're also important, but particularly on LinkedIn,
Mhm.
will I say something or will I do something that will put my job in jeopardy? What are your thoughts on this?
Okay. So yes, it's possible at any time to post something at any time that may or may not put your job in jeopardy. In fact, right now, given the conversations that are happening online, there are a lot of people taking a risk to say something that they feel they need to add to this incredible conversation right now to make sure that it goes from a moment to a movement so that we're seeing change in the workplace, especially with anti-Black racism and everything that's going on right now. So there are a lot of people, especially Black professionals, that are like, I am afraid to do this, but I got to do it, and it could cost me my job. And they're at the point where they have to do this, and so that's a risk.
Yes.
But going to JT's example is like where people are being rescinded their college admissions because of what they post. Yes, we have a responsibility to be very aware of what we're posting, and we have to use our like I'm a comic book nerd, so it's like we have to use our spidey senses to know whether or not it's okay. Whether if you're feeling your spidey senses tingling, like when you're like, should I post this or not, probably err on not posting it. Like just save yourself the trouble, right?
Yes.
At the same time, it's one of those things where, especially in the professional networks, I think if you lead with value, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ask yourself, how will this benefit my audience? Right?
Yes.
Am I showing off or am I showing how? Right?
Mm.
And that might be a little different. That, and I've never said that before, and I was just like, I need to write that down for later. But am I
This is a
showing
good
up
one.
or showing how? Because
Yes.
this way, even if you wanted to show off the car, for example, so the example again from JT, and this guy's showing off his car. It's not really it doesn't really align with the way, and I don't know how he showed it off, so I don't know if it was
Mm-hmm.
like douchey way, and that's a horrible word to say, but an awful way that he just showed up like an ass, right? So I don't know, right? But what, because unless I have that context, and it doesn't matter either way. But
Yes.
if he can share a story, so instead of showing off, showing how he got,
Mm-hmm.
to the point where he got to buy his dream car. And here was the adversity to triumph. Here's what, the trials to triumph kind of story. And here are the things that made him a better professional. But yeah, he still gets to show off his car, but he's showing how he got there. That changes everything, and that still makes him a better human being. And if the company's still going to fire you, then you know what, you would have probably realized real quick that it wasn't a right fit for you anyway, and it's good, and it's like peace. But I think that taking that approach, especially on networks like LinkedIn, is very important.
Yes, I love this. And first of all, I want to say I absolutely, absolutely agree with you. And with all the recent things that the world face, and that the Black Lives Matter so much, I
Mhm.
have incredible, incredible friends that I admire and love to tears. And just imagine, and just to think through in my heart on what it may look like to live in
Mhm.
fear, it just tear me apart.
Yeah.
So I feel that it takes bravery, and it takes so much courage to speak out,
Mhm.
and to make this a movement, especially for all of my friends of color.
Mhm.
I want to say, I tribute to you, and I salute you, and I cheer you on, and I want to do everything I can to be as supportive I can,
For sure.
and to be the listener, and to be the pioneer and ally, to be a part of that, and make the change in this world. And even having this conversation today, I feel small changes we're making together, right?
Exactly. Because not everybody is in, whether you're white, black, whatever, like not as everybody is in a safe space to put it out there, but that doesn't mean they're not thinking about it. That doesn't mean they're not laboring about it. But there's so much power in reaching out in the direct messages and starting to have the conversations. And because there are so many people right now, they don't know what to say and they're struggling. So like there's silence. Yes, we've heard silence is, people are being complicit when there's silence. Yes, but also at the same time, it's like it's hard. And for many people, this is the first time they're really thinking about this and they're working it through. But what you can do is take, like you said, these small steps, a small conversation might give somebody else the conviction or the confidence to then go reach out to somebody and just saying, hey, you know what? I don't even know what to say, but I just wanted to check in on you and see how you're feeling and let you know that I'm thinking about you. And if there's anything that you think I can do, let me know. And I mean, that means even me in my privilege of talking to other people and me reaching out to people and saying, like to white people and saying, like, which sounds, in the conversation, it sounds like, wait, what? Reaching out to white people? I'm like, maybe they're just looking for the language. They're just looking for the door in and they don't know how to ask. You know what I mean? Or maybe it's an opportunity for me to say, hey, do you mind introducing me to somebody? And then going back to the personal brand thing. If you have a powerful personal brand, no matter who you are, and your brand makes it very easy to introduce you to opportunities and to people will
Yes.
open that door for you, no matter who you
Mhm.
are. So make sure your brand does the talking for you.
I love this. Is so powerful, Cher. You've given us immense value today. And as you listen to this, and if you find value, which I feel there's so much value in this conversation, do share it. Share, not just to share on your page, but also write down maybe two, three things that stood out to you that you took the most,
Mhm.
and definitely connect with Cher. And if you are looking to elevate your brand and looking to maybe uplift and get yourself more consistent, get more clarity, gain more clarity. This is what Cher is doing. She's working with professionals to identify and help them, you know, um, sharpen their brand and be
Yeah.
confident
And
and
how to articulate it, because that's where people
articulate yourself.
struggle.
Yes,
They
yes.
don't know how to articulate and own their awesome. And that is what I help people do. I was like, do you realize the impact that you're making? And it's like, I never thought about it that way. And it's, here's how we're going to say that. And then all of a sudden, when people have the words to talk about their impact, their confidence rises because their brands do the talking for them, and they have the words to talk about it when it's the right opportunity for them to do so. And that's what I help people do.
Yes, this is wonderful. Cher, thank you so much for coming in today And you showed, I love that how you've put this little formula together, right? You had a formula of credibility,
Mhm.
visibility, and engagement. It
Yeah,
equals opportunity.
correct.
I love this, and especially that opportunities is not only jobs, although many are looking for jobs right now. So
Mhm.
jobs opportunities definitely showcase your best self to find the best job opportunity for yourself.
Mhm.
Yet, in addition to that, don't just find a job and be complacent in that job and just think,
Yeah.
oh, now I have a job. Now I don't have to, be out there. I don't have to show up. I don't have to do any work. That's a wrong perception. It's just gonna close many doors of opportunities for you.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
keep doing the work. You have a job,
Yes.
keep doing the work, keep
Yes.
showing up, keep thinking about how, right, you can bring
Mhm.
value, how you
Because
can
there's more opportunities once you get
more
there.
opportunities.
Like,
Yes.
companies actually want to keep you around. They want to keep the talent and the knowledge, that the knowledge share in the company. So there are many, especially larger companies, you could probably completely do a pivot in your career and stay at the same company. But what you need to do is, again, bring yourself. Don't just think that this you work on your brand when you need a job. No, constantly be opportunity ready. Get on those projects. Be considered for roles you didn't even know exist, because you have a brand that is visible and people engage with it, and you stand out and you create those opportunities.
Yes, yes, I agree with you. And meant to this, share any other final tips you would like to give our audience on how they can, and you've shared so many, but maybe just two or three, some
Yeah.
strong things that you believe
Yeah.
they can take away with them and implement right away. How they can improve their brand and
Right.
visibility and engagement on LinkedIn.
So the number one thing is really start with, what is it you want? What is it that lights your fire? What is it, even if you're in a role or you're currently on the hunt, you still got to know what lights your fire, because you still need to make sure that that's incorporated into your brand somehow, because you will start to, when people know, then they can talk about you. Then double down and focus on building a credible profile that
Mhm.
that truly articulates what it is you do and how it is you serve, whether you're serving external clients or your internal, we'll call them clients, your team, your the system that you serve, whatever it is that you're doing. How are you contributing to the success of this company, right? And really, why is it that your skill set brings this success, right? So your experience. So once you've done that in your profiles, then start to double down on relationships. Start to build that network of people who need to know your name, whether it's in your company, and that's all based off of your goals. What is it you want to achieve in your role? What are the performance things? How can social media help you improve your performance? So, especially in my corporate work, what I'm doing when I'm working with teams of professionals to help them develop their personal brand and teach them how to be social at work, for work, the first thing that we're looking at are, what are their performance goals? What are the things that they need to accomplish?
Mhm.
And out of those things, which things can be aided and abetted by social media? So how can we improve that? And that comes down to the relationships that they make. Maybe they could get things done faster if they had relationships with people in the right areas. And maybe that's part of their networking strategy. Whatever it is make sure your goals are relevant to your brand and that you're moving forward. So build that network and then start engaging, and then create that micro content. And then if you're at that point where you want to become a content creator, then start creating content that serves your audience.
Yes, this is fantastic. Thank you so much, Cher,
Thank
for
you.
coming in today, for spending your time. You are a powerhouse. You have so much wisdom. It's been a pleasure and privilege to have you on today's show. I appreciate all of your insights.
Thank you for having me. It's been a privilege and a pleasure to be on your show as well. I really appreciate it.
No,
It's nice to
seriously.
just talk. You know, when you're running your show, you're doing so many different things, but now it's just like, all I did got to talk. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I love it. Well, I see you soon, Cher.
See you soon, Shauna.
And I believe that when we create conversations, when we get clarity about what we want to achieve, and when we connect with people that can help us get to the goals that we set for ourselves, we can encourage and empower each other. We can encourage and empower ourselves, and we can help others as well. and we can also change this world to be a better place. Thank you so much for tuning in today. It's been a pleasure to be here with you, and I cannot wait to see you again next time. Have an awesome day.